Hello everyone, welcome back to English Only Zone. Today we are going to study the first chapter from class 8th English NCERT book. The name of the book is Poorvi and the name of the chapter which we are going to study today is The Wit That Won Hearts. So this chapter is about King Krishna Dev Rai and one of his courtiers, Tenali Raman. Let's read the paragraph and then we'll have the explanation of the chapter. The Vijayanagar Empire was renowned for its glory, wealth, and cultural achievements. Among its many illustrious rulers, King Krishnadev Rai, ruled 1509 to 29 CE, stood out as a wise and powerful monarch. So, the Vijayanagar Empire was renowned for its glory, wealth, and cultural achievements. Renowned means well known. It was famous for its glory, it was famous for its wealth, and its cultural achievements as well. Among its many illustrious rulers, it had many powerful and respected rulers who were famous. King Krishnadev Rai, who ruled from 1509 to 29 CE, he was a very wise and a powerful monarch. His reign is often referred to as the golden era of the Vijayanagar Empire. His rule was considered to be the golden era of that Vijayanagar Empire, a time when art, architecture, literature flourished. So it was a time when art, literature and architecture gained rise, it gained its importance. So a kingdom is known to be in its golden era when the people develop, the art develop, the literature develop, and there are other infrastructural developments also in the kingdom. A great patron of learning, Krishnadev Rai was not only an eminent warrior but also a gifted poet. So, Krishnadev Rai was a great patron of learning. He was not only a famous warrior, eminent means famous, but he was also a gifted poet. He used to write beautiful poems himself. His works such as the epic Amuktamaleda and Sanskrit drama Jambavati Parinayam are acclaimed even today. He had written one epic Amuktamaleda and one Sanskrit drama was also written by him and its name was Jambavati Parinayam. So these books are acclaimed, they are liked by people even today. So Krishnadev Rai's court was home to 8 celebrated poets. There were 8 famous poets in his court. Like Akbar had Navratans in his court, similarly Krishnadev Rai had 8 famous poets in his court and they were collectively known as Ashtadiggaj. These poets, including Alasani Pedana and Tenali Ramakrishna, enriched the literary tradition with their masterpieces. And among these poets, 2 were very famous. Their names were Alasani Pedana and Tenali Ramakrishna. They enriched the literary tradition, means they contributed a lot with their masterpieces in literature. Tenali Ramakrishna in particular was known for his quick wit and humor. Tenali Ramakrishna was not only a very famous poet but he was also a very witty and humorous person, earning him a special place in the king's court as both a poet and a witty advisor. And he was liked by the king, he was liked by other courtiers, he was liked by the people of the kingdom because of his wit and his beautiful poems. His clever solutions to seemingly insurmountable problems made him a beloved figure in the empire's history. So as I told you just now, he used to give clever solutions because of his wit, intelligence and his wisdom and his humor. So the problems which once were considered to be undefeatable, which were once considered to be very difficult, they were easily solved by Tenali Raman and that was the reason he was liked by everyone. Even the wisest rulers faced moments of disharmony and at one such time, the king had a quarrel with his queen, Thirumalamal. So sometimes even the wisest people, they have to face some problems, they have to face some moments of disharmony. And one such time was for Raja Krishnadev Rai also. He had a quarrel with his queen and the name of his queen was Thirumalambal. Over a seemingly trivial matter. The matter was a very small one. It had no importance. It could have been solved easily. But it was lingered on, it was continuated, the quarrel continued and that was the reason Raja Krishnadev Rai and his queen both were really upset. For weeks he did not utter a single word to her, and in his frustration stopped visiting her altogether. For weeks, Raja Krishnadev Rai did not speak even a single word to his wife, and in his frustration he also stopped visiting her palace. The king and the queen used to have separate palaces, so the king stopped visiting the queen's palace as well. His absence cast a shadow over the palace, and the once cheerful corridors seemed quiet and forlorn. His absence casted a shadow over the palace. There was darkness all around, and one such the cheerful corridors, the corridors which were once considered to be cheerful, full of laughter, excitement, were now quiet, were now forlorn. Forlorn means lonely. So now Thirumalambal was distraught and upset. She tried her best to resolve the issue but failed. Thirumalambal, wife of King Krishnadev Rai, she was distraught. Distraught means she was extremely sad. She was upset. She tried her best to resolve the issue but failed. With no other alternative, she decided to seek the help of Tenali Rama, the court's brilliant and witty poet. She was left with no other alternative. She tried her level best to solve the quarrel, the issue between her husband and her. She decided to seek the help of Tenali Rama after that. Tenali Rama was the court's brilliant and witty poet. Rama listened patiently as the queen recounted the incident in detail. Now Rama kept on listening with a lot of patience when the queen recounted what actually had happened. The king wrote a poem. She began, her voice trembling. Her voice was trembling because she was telling some secret to a courtier. What she told to Tenali Rama? That the king wrote a poem once. It was filled with vague expressions, sun, moon, stars, beautiful sky, but it made no sense. The poem consisted of many elements, sun, moon, stars, beautiful sky, but as there were so many elements involved in that poem, they were all included in that poem, so it became vague. It made no clear sense. When he tried reciting it to his ministers, they all avoided him, making excuses. So when the king came to the ministers to recite his poem, the ministers listened and they avoided him because they understood that the poem was not up to the mark, it was not good, and they cannot directly tell the king that the poem was not actually good. So they all made excuses and they went away from there. It was late evening when he came to see me seeking an audience. It was late evening when the king came to the queen to recite his poem in front of her. He began reciting it to me, but I was so exhausted after a tiring day that I yawned, not once but several times. When the king started reciting the poem to the queen was actually very exhausted after the entire tiring day. So she yawned. And she not only yawned once, she yawned many times. The king thought I was disrespecting his poem and stormed off. Now, seeing the queen yawning, the king thought that the queen was disrespecting him. The queen was disrespecting his poem, and so he became angry. He scolded her and then he went out of the palace angrily. Since then, he has not spoken to me. If I had known this would happen, I would have chosen another day. Help me, please, Rama. Only you can help the king understand. Now, the queen was feeling very sorry that if she would have known that this all would happen, she would have asked the king to recite the poem the very next day, not that day. Because she was tired, she was not in a condition to have full concentration on the poem, and she would have asked the king to recite the poem on the next day. And she requested Tenali Raman to help her, and only he was the person who can help the king understand the entire matter, that it was not out of disrespect that the queen yawned. It was due to her tiredness. Rama nodded thoughtfully. If you like, I will try my best to resolve this matter, Your Highness. But this needs a well-planned approach, and I may need time to find the right strategy. So Tenali Raman said that if the queen liked, he would try his best to resolve the matter. But resolving this matter needs a well planned approach. He needs a good plan for that. The queen who had placed her last hope in Rama, the queen who had already tried her level best to resolve the issue, Tenali Raman was her last hope. So she agreed to the plan, to whatever time Tenali Raman needs, and she also thanked him profusely. Profusely means in large amounts. The next morning, the royal court was bustling with activity. Ministers, scholars, and courtiers filled the courtroom, its intricately carved pillars towering towards the high ceiling. Rays of sunlight streamed through the open windows, illuminating the floor adorned with exquisite rugs. So the next morning, the royal court was bursting with activity. It was busy. The court was busy. People were busy. They were talking. They were doing some of the other things. There were ministers, scholars, and courtiers in the courtroom. The courtroom had beautiful pillars. They were intricately carved pillars, which were rising high towards the ceiling, which were towering high, which were rising high towards the high ceiling. Intricately means the carving was done in a very detailed manner. Rays of sunlight streamed through the open windows. There was sunlight coming from the open windows, and they were making the rugs shine. The floor was adorned with exquisite rugs. Exquisite means very fine and attractive rugs were laid on the floor, and the sunlight which was coming from the window, it was making the rugs shine. So the entire courtroom was looking beautiful. Despite the lively chatter, attention hung in the air. Despite there was lively chatter in the environment, attention hung in the air. The king sat on his ornate throne, his expression stunned. The king was sitting on his ornate throne. Ornate means a decorated throne. And he had stern expressions on his face. He had strict expressions on his face. His sharp eyes scanning the room, and his sharp eyes were also scanning the room. It was evident that the unresolved quarrel still gnawed at him, and it was very much clear. Evident means it was clear that the unresolved quarrel was not only disturbing the queen, that she came for help to Tenali Raman, but it was actually disturbing the king himself. He was also not happy after quarreling with the queen. So this was in the first part of the chapter. The next video will be uploaded soon, in which the rest of the chapter would be completed. I do not want to make longer videos, that's why I am cutting it short. If you have understood the explanation, please press the like button, and if you have any doubts in the entire explanation, you may write them in the comment section. I'll try my best to resolve your doubts. Thank you so much for watching. Share it also with your friends so that they may also be helped. Wait for the next part.